Hello and welcome back to part 4 of What If a Billionaire Invested in Wales. And we've got this part 4 because I asked for 25 likes within 24 hours. And you guys absolutely smashed it to pieces. I think we got 25 likes within half an hour. So that was kind of how much you wanted to see it, which I think is absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate all the support on that. On top of that, as I record this, the video is currently sitting on 120 likes, which is not only the first video that I've ever had over 100 likes, but it's also the most liked video I've ever had, which is absolutely incredible. I really do appreciate all you people liking the video and just showing your support for me, really. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And I just want to take this time to say thank you very much for all of that. On top of that, we've also just hit 750 subscribers as well. Insane growth these past 2 weeks or so. That is because of these videos, I think mainly. I think it's this kind of video that you've been clicking on, subscribing on. The analytics seem to suggest that as well. So I just want to say thank you very much to everyone that's joined here and is new to the channel as well. Thank you for checking these videos out. Also, I do Lincoln City Save as well at the moment. That's pretty interesting. We've just been promoted again. So that's all I'll say for now. We've just been promoted again. You can probably guess actually by the thumbnails and things like that. But I would say go and have a look at those as well if you're new around here, because I do think they're just as good videos as these. Before we go on though, there isn't going to be a part 5 of this because I have got some more ideas coming up with experiments. I'm going to reveal the next country that we do at the end of this video, so make sure you watch the entire video to find out exactly where we're going to go next time. What I'm going to do though is put this save up for download, so you can download the save and you can have your own look around and find everything that you want to find and keep going in the future if you want to and things like that. So if you want to take this even further than I have, then you can do that, be my guest. Also, leave comments down below as well for the next country that you want me to do. I've got the next 2 sort of planned at the moment, but leave comments down below and then I'll put polls on Twitter and things like that to see, you can vote for which ones you particularly want. But yeah, comment down below what countries you want to see and what experiments you want to see in general. Right then, without further ado, let's get into this. The JD Welsh Premier League is what we're looking for. Holders, Cardiff Met University. As we can see then, if we go onto this leagues page, it's taking its time to load because it's not entirely sure why. Did we search it? We did search it. There we go. As you can see, blimey, the JD Welsh Premier League is now the 8th most reputable league in Europe. That is crazy. It's better than the Dutch Eredivisie, the Belgian Pro League. It's actually just gone down from 7th, so it was ahead of the Portuguese Premier League for a little while as well. Dropped down below this past season or so. That is absolutely mental. As you can see, no real change in winners. Cardiff Met University and TNS being the dominant side in the league. We'll go now and have a look at the last 10 seasons. That's how far we've gone in the future, 10 years. And we'll see exactly what has happened. So going all the way back to the 2030-2031 season, TNS won the title by 11 points from Barry and Cardiff Met University finishing 3rd. That is a very poor season from them. They're really not like them at all, actually. That's really weird. Cardiff Met, though, coming 3rd, Aberystwyth in 4th, Barlow 5th, Bangor in 6th. They're the top 6. It generally is the same every single season. It's always these same top 6 teams, really. Sefton Druids sometimes come into the top 6 and things like that, but generally speaking, it is these top 6. Season afterwards, TNS win it again for a 2nd year in a row. Cardiff Met coming back, but couldn't quite take the title off them. Barry in 3rd and Aberystwyth in 4th. Season afterwards, though, Cardiff Met go back to winning ways, winning the title by 4 points from Barry. TNS this time coming 3rd, which is highly unlikely for them, unusual for them rather. They don't normally do that, do they? Season afterwards, Cardiff Met lose the title again by 20 points to TNS, who didn't lose a single game all season. And only conceded 18 as well, which is a phenomenal achievement there. Drew 3 but won 29 of those games. Season afterwards, Cardiff Met go back to winning ways, winning the league by 9 points from TNS. Barry finishing 3rd as per usual. Season afterwards, I don't think that it even changed at all. It did slightly, the top 4 didn't change, but Sefton Druids and Newton finished 5th and 6th. They hoist themselves up the table ever so slightly. Again, Cardiff Met 1st, TNS 2nd and Barry 3rd in the 36-37 season. There's a bit of a usual thing here, but Connors Key have come in from nowhere. Not quite sure where they've come from, or have they always been there? I feel like they've always been there and I've just never particularly paid much notice to them. Although saying that, it does seem to have jumped between years a little bit, because that's 33-34, that's 31-32. So I guess it just shows the times that they actually are in the league. So they appear to have come out of nowhere. I don't really remember seeing them, but they finished 5th there, which is pretty impressive. TNS winning the title again in the 37-38 season with Cardiff Met trailing by just 4 points there. That's the tightest I think it's been for quite a few years there. Cardiff Met, though, win it in the 38-39. Only on 76 points, though, so that's a fairly low-scoring season points-wise. Barry in 2nd, TNS down in 3rd, which is highly unusual for TNS not to finish 1st or 2nd. And then the season we have just had, Cardiff Met University in top place there, finishing on 80 points. TNS finishing second, who have got European Champions League qualification there. So that means 2 teams now qualify for the Champions League, which is crazy. Barry and Bangor in 4th, and Newton must have won the Cup that season to get Europa League there as well. So that is how it's panned out these past 10 years. Cardiff, Met and TNS trading with top places there. Every now and again, Barry coming in second. But if we look at the history of it all, Barla are the only team that have won it outside of Cardiff, Met and TNS, and that was in the very, very first season when Cardiff Met didn't even do anything. They weren't in the top 3. Since then, Cardiff Met have been in the top 3 consistently every single season, as have TNS. Barry once or twice getting in second place there, but not really providing any other challenges. Barry finishing third quite a lot rather as well. Bangor City used to finish third quite a bit, but it switched to Barry Town. But as you can see, absolute domination. A quick look through some transfers as well, then if we go back to 30-31 season. Big money being paid by Cardiff and TNS. They're the ones obviously spending a lot of money. Diego Jota signs for Barry Town from PSG, which is quite funny when you think about that. Season afterwards, big £35 million being the big one. TNS spending huge amounts of money that season. All the top 3 transfers being from TNS there. If we go forward once again, 36 million by TNS have just suddenly run into loads of money and decided to spend it all, as have Cardiff actually. They're spending an awful lot of money too, but TNS just a little bit more. They must have spent upwards of 100 million one season. We'll check that in a minute. A big transfer this time, leaving the biggest transfer actually, Ricky Lovell from TNS to AEK for 23, right to 35 million. Is he still at AEK? Is he any good? He's still at AEK at only 26 years old as well, but he's a Man United regen, so not one that we're particularly interested in too much. He was that big 36 million actually that came in and left for 29, so not the signing we would have thought he was going to be. I thought that was going to be a regen, like a Welsh regen. I thought that would be quite good, but again, plenty of signings above 15 million this season, which is crazy. The season afterwards, 44 million. Tom Neville to TNS. TNS absolutely splashing the cash recently. 34 was the highest that season from Cardiff Met. None of these names you recognise now. They're all regens, basically. No one particularly interesting, I suppose. A lot of people coming in, though, that's the thing, which makes you think that these teams are naturally, they're not particularly bothered about youth. They've got the top youth facilities, but they're just not going to be using them, really. 38 runs to 58 million is paid by Cardiff Met University for a chap from West Brom. West Brom have an absolute field day there. 37-38, more huge transfers. Cardiff and TNS once again being there. Dennis Olsen leaving though for 14 million is the biggest transfer leaving. That's a big one we've seen for a while. He went to Spartak Moscow there that season. Is he any good? Doesn't sound very Welsh. He's Swedish, of course. Still at Spartak Moscow and playing very poorly in that first season, but only 2 games. But since then, he's been fairly decent, I suppose. 38-39, Cardiff Met with the top 6 transfers. That is easily over 100 million they spent that season, which is bloody ridiculous when you think about it. But I suppose when they're in these European competitions now, they've got to spend the money. Season afterwards, a big 26 million by Cardiff Met. But on general standards there, TNS only in there twice in these top screens. They've stopped spending so much money. Cardiff have as well to an extent. This season, not much is spent at all. And that was a season we just had actually. So that is crazy, the amount of money that's being spent in the Welsh leagues. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, we're at the stage where we know that we've got teams consistently getting into the Europa League and the Champions League. And I think now, rather than look at individual teams, it's probably better now in this episode to just go through the first knockout rounds of the Champions League and just see if anyone's made it past the group stages at all. I believe some teams have made it, 1 or 2 teams. Well, it's only Cardiff Met and TNS, but I believe once or twice they did get to the knockout stages of the Champions League. So as you can see in the 30-31 season, none of them did. Season afterwards, I can't see any Welsh teams there. Or the season after that. Or the season after that. Or the season after that. You can see a bit of a theme coming on here. Again, no Welsh teams. They can't quite break themselves into the Champions League as we go forward here, which makes me now think this is pretty pointless to show you because I've just wasted a bit of time. No, we haven't wasted time because the season we've just had, Cardiff Met University qualified for the first knockout round of the Champions League, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy that. Being knocked out by Tottenham 3-1 on aggregate. So they got a 1-1 draw in the first leg, which is quite impressive. TNS, nowhere to be seen, but Cardiff Met are the boys. They are the absolute boys. We'll do the same thing for the Euro Cup then. First knockout round in the 2030-31 season. As you can see, Cardiff Met finishing... Oh, they got there, but they lost to Dynamo Kiev 3-2 on aggregate. That's really, really close. But no more Welsh teams there as far as I can see. Season afterwards, any more Welsh teams in there? It doesn't look like anyone made it that season, actually, which is a bit frustrating there. 22-23 season, though, TNS make it there but lose 3-1 on aggregate to Arsenal. That's a tough draw to come up against any other team. They may have had a chance, but Arsenal providing too much opposition there for them, which is very unfortunate for them. Season afterwards, once again, Cardiff met her there, but they beat Lyon, which is big. They beat Lyon 4-2 on aggregate to put them in to the second knockout round, which is absolutely crazy, where they come against Spartak Moscow and win 3-2, which is pretty crazy. So they go to the quarter-finals of the Europa League, which is absolutely incredible. They're taken by Bayer Leverkusen, beat Bayer Leverkusen 2-0 aggregate, 1-0 wins in both those legs, which means they go to the semi-finals and face either CSKA, Zenit or Tottenham. Can Cardiff progress to the final of the Europa League semi-finals? Oh, they lose to Zenit on away goals. That is the harshest and cruelest way to go out. I don't think away goals should count really in knockout competitions as big as this, because look at the margin. That margin is so fine there. I don't think we can click on the result. Yeah, it's not available to see, unfortunately, for us anymore. But that was ridiculously close for Cardiff, and I'm absolutely over the moon for them. That is an incredible result. I'm so impressed with that. We'll try and carry on, see if anything else does that. Season afterwards, they're there once again, but unfortunately lose to Werder Bremen 3-2 on aggregate. TNS also there, but lose 3-2 to Porto. So both Welsh sides getting there, which is pretty nice to see. Season afterwards, TNS beat Fiorentina 3-2 on aggregate to go through. Are Cardiff met there at all? Cardiff met are not there. So we go to the second knockout round, where TNS get knocked out by Villarreal 6-2 on aggregate. That's a heavy defeat there, unfortunately, for them. But at least they get into the the later knockout stages now, which is pretty cool. 36-37 season. Is there a Welsh team there at all? Not that. Oh no, Barry Town have made an appearance in the knockout stages of the Champions League. Congratulations, Barry. This time though, they lose to Villarreal 4-3 on aggregate after a 1-1 draw in the first leg, which is pretty impressive. But no other Welsh teams there. 37-38 season. Cardiff met her there. They beat Ajax 1-0 on aggregate. That's pretty impressive. Any more Welsh teams there? Not that I can see. If we go to the second knockout round then, where are the Welsh teams? Cardiff met, lose to Liverpool 4-2 on aggregate, despite a 2-1 win in the second leg. First leg, Liverpool provided to be too strong, which is a bit of a shame. 38-39 season. Are there any Welsh teams? TNS are there. They beat Copenhagen 3-2 on aggregate. Wales, I can't see any more Welsh sides there, so we'll go to the second knockout round then, where TNS beat Shakhtar 3-2 on aggregate. Had a good first leg to overcome them, despite losing the second leg. Look at the quarterfinals then. TNS beat Kiev 5-4 on aggregate. So again, we've got another side going to the semi-finals against AC Milan, Tottenham or Borussia Mönchengladbach. Who are they going to get? They come up against AC Milan and lose 3-1 on aggregate. Oh, that is not quite as close as the Zenit game with that Cardiff Met had. But again, a Welsh side reaching the Europa League semi-finals is absolutely incredible. I'm absolutely blown away by it. And then the season we've just had, are any Welsh teams there? TNS are there again, a 2-1 win over Leverkusen on aggregate, but Cardiff Met are nowhere to be seen. If we look at the second knockout round then, where are TNS? They get knocked out by Copenhagen. They'll be cross with that. That's probably the easiest draw they could have had, apart from maybe Sparta Prague or Nice. However, it is 23 years in the future, so we can't really decide who's good or who's bad. I mean, bloody TNS are in the second knockout round of the Europa League. Of course, we can't tell who's any good. Well, I mean, that was absolutely crazy. That was, personally. Absolutely mental. Now, regards to this, all of these Welsh teams seem to play their home games in the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff, basically. Although that's a lie, because that says Montgomery Waterways, which is different, but it's not their usual stadium, you see. This was brought to my attention on the comments in last episode, so I thought I'd investigate this. They wanted me to look at all the stadiums and things like that. Montgomery Waters Meadows is a 9,000-seater stadium in England, actually, owned by Shrewsbury. So Shrewsbury Stadium is being used sometimes, which must mean that these Welsh teams aren't investing any money at all in their stadiums. If we look at the stadiums in the league, Bangor had the biggest stadium at 3,400. So none of these teams have decided to put any money into their stadiums, and that will probably because they've got no supporters, essentially. They've got all the money in the world that they could possibly want, but they've got no supporters. And Cardiff Met, the biggest team in Wales, with a national reputation of 3.5 stars, only play in a 1,600 seater stadium on the campus of Cardiff Met University. So interesting that no one's actually bothered to do anything with stadiums, but it does make sense. If they're not going to fill it, what's the point of building a new one? So thank you very much to Max FM for that question there. Max FM Stories asked that. So this next question then comes from Matthias Eriksson and Ricky Quaresma. They both asked me to go in the short list of the player search rather, and look at current ability and potential ability of players. So that's exactly what I've done. We go to these settings here. I've gone to Nationality Welsh, and because I've got the in-game editor, there's also a little tab on here. If I go to add things here, I can go to FM in-game editor and look at current ability of players. So current ability is done out of 200, so 200 is the best, 0 is obviously the worst. So I've put in at least 160 on current ability, but only John Oates comes up as a Welsh player with 160 at least current ability, which is crazy that he's still going. So if we switch it over to potential ability of 160, because quite a few players come up, 160 is a very high ranking number, only 4 players come up there. So we'll start off with John Oates, because he's featured in the last 2 episodes as being an incredible player. Now plays at Man City. 34 years old, still has absolutely incredible stats. I mean, just look at them. Absolutely incredible. On £400,000 a week as well. That is bloody ridiculous. Described it as an elite winger. He looks incredible. Let's look at his history then as well. He looks, oh my goodness gracious me. 127 million is what PSG sold him to Man City for. 127 million. Alright, I've just gone and looked. It took quite a while, but I've looked at every single transfer in the world for the past few seasons and looked at the highest one. This is the highest transfer that has happened, the biggest transfer that has happened in this entire experiment. So only the transfer for Neymar and Kylian Mbappe in real life at 200 and 160 million respectively is bigger than this transfer for John Oates, who started his career at Bangor City as a regen before moving to Cardiff Met. TNS bought him for 650, but sold him at a loss to Bayern Munich. Within 3 seasons, was sold to PSG for 71 million, and 59 games later, after playing for PSG for 3 seasons, was sold for 127 million to Manchester City. And you can see why. Look at the average ratings. There's not a single season, ignore these ones down here when he played in Wales, there's not a single season where he's been below a 7 rating, which is absolutely incredible. That it cements himself as one of the best players in the world ever. I wonder if he's ever won a big award or anything like that. If we look at awards, he's won Footballer of the Year at Man City and Wales and all these particular clubs like Footballer of the Year. He won Best Player in the Club World Championships as well one year. So PSG obviously won the Champions League one time. Won a lot of awards in Wales. An awful lot of awards in Wales basically, and also has won. He's been Dream Team player in the Champions League a few times as well, and midfielder of the season, runner-up in Europe, which is absolutely incredible. Just look at those transfers. That is absolutely ridiculous. I can't get over that. So John Oates, clearly the success story from this whole experiment. I'm very impressed with that. The 3 other players that come up with the good potential are Aaron Marriott rather from Man United. But we're not interested in him though because he's not a regen of ours. But that's interesting to see, some Welsh players coming through better at other clubs as well. Incidentally, actually, we'll look at I forgot to show you this as well, I should probably show you. If we click on the editor, we can go to Edit Player Attribute Details. So his current ability is 162, his potential ability was 180, and you never really see that. It's very, very hard that you look at players, and when I've done experiments like this, I've looked at players, very rarely do you see potential ability of being 180 plus, things like that. So he really is a very, very special player. Aaron Marriott then, we'll just look at him as well. He's got potential of 180 again, so he could be as good as John Oates in the future if he works hard. Christopher Swattage at Everton, 37 years old now, started his career at Newport County, so not one that we put money into, but then has spent the last 20 seasons at Everton, being their goalkeeper, ever present for years and years and years. Again, if we look at his attributes, 174 was his potential, so he was a very, very good player, made a lot of caps for Wales, 134. And Adam Owen plays for Sefton Druid, so I presume he's a regen of there. A regen of Newton. Was sold straight away for nearly £400,000, and then Sefton Druids doubled that to pay £800,000 for him, which is quite a lot of money to be fair for a player. Let's go back on him. He looks alright, he's still very young, only 20 years old. But could he be a player to be the player of all players from Wales in recent years? If we edit his player attributes, he's got a potential of 169. So that's still pretty high, but not quite as good as John Oates. He's got a good current ability though, which surprised me because his stats don't particularly look all that good, but his current ability is actually very, very good. So there we go. They're the top players, top Welsh players there. which I think should be very interesting to see. So there we go. That is the end of the experiment now in Wales. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate all the support on this. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm now going to reveal where we're going to be going next. And it's a country that I don't think people would spring to mind that it would be an experiment for, but we're going to be going to Brazil next for this experiment. And my thinking behind that is I want to see if we put lots of money into Brazil, they can start to attract the players from Europe. So, for example, would Messi potentially want to then go back to Brazil or Argentina, which doesn't make much sense. Maybe I should use Neymar as that example instead. Neymar, what would he go back to Brazil if Brazilian league started getting more reputation and had a lot of money? Would he go back to Brazil, for example? That's what I kind of want to see if we put that money in. I'd like to also see if they consistently could be able to beat European sides in the Club World Championships and things like that. So that's what I'm interested in. So Brazil is where we're going to go next. I hope you can join me on that. I'm very excited for that. Once again, thank you so much for all the support on this. Make sure you drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed this series. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. And I'll see you next time in Brazil.